Well, boy, was I wrong about Dan Hooker and Jalin Turner. I mean, that ended up being like basically fight of the night. I mean, but UFC 290 as a whole, that damn card, the whole card, the prelims, the early prelims, the pay per view, everybody showed out. That was one of the best fight cards I've seen in a long time. So, but to even say that Dan Hooker and Jalin Turner, they stood out above most of these fights. Dan Hooker had to really go out there, grind out, make a dirty victory over the super long, solid, sharp, new coming, I guess you could say veteran prospect in Jalin Turner, where Dan Hooker, he was getting pieced up a lot early on. He got dropped, I think it was early in the second round. He really had to go out there and just make it a dog fight, make it a phone booth fight. He had to make Turner feel shit he never felt before. I mean, he really had to go out there and break the distance and say, fuck this shit. You're not going to fight your fight. You're going to fight my fucking fight. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to earn this victory the hard way and grind it out a phenomenal victory where he had Jalin on skates at the end of the second round and most of the third round. And just a fight where he had to just bite on his mouthpiece and just prove I'm here to stay. Dan Hooker's here to stay. Jalin Turner, I really don't think he loses much steam in this matchup. I think it just shows that Dan Hooker, how good he still is. Jalin Turner, I think it shows his heart and determination to stay in the fight. I think he took a lot of damage. He really had to stay in there, stay composed, and he did. At times, you even saw him kind of like back together. You saw him still throwing really good combinations at Dan Hooker. He was still dangerous, even though he had accumulated so much damage. You could tell he was on skates. You could tell he wasn't all there, but he was still able to stay composed in a sense and put together some really dangerous strikes where Dan Hooker himself had to stay aware, had to stay alert of what was coming his way, even though he was smelling the blood of Jalin Turner. So Dan Hooker, I mean, just shows he still has that fucking dog in him, why he's as popular as ever, why he's as good as ever, because he's able to go out there and have a plan B where it's not going his way. He's able to go out there and say, all right, fuck this, I got to do something different. I can't just fight my fight. I can't fight at a distance. It's not working in that way, because he was getting pieced apart at length. And once he was able to just break that distance and just break that length and just kind of crush him, Jalin really, I mean, he was just getting caught and he didn't really have any answers. And just Jalin wasn't able to pivot from Dan Hooker's pivot in kind of layman terms. And what Dan was able to accomplish was really awesome, and I was very happy for him. And I think that was able to put him right back into, I wouldn't say title contention, but right into the mix of the ranked lightweights, right in the top 10s. I think next to Grant Dawson. We just saw Grant Dawson get a solid, dominant victory over Damir Ismagulov. Also, Rafael Fiziev, who's coming off of his loss to Justin Gaethje. I think one of those matchups I think would really be really fun stylistically for the fans. I think that a win against either of those guys for Dan Hooker would then put him into title contention. Grant Dawson, who has now solidified himself as a rising prospect and future possible title contender in the lightweight division. And you got Rafael Fiziev, who is just a world-class dynamic striker who's able to put out a lot of guys, a lot of finishes. He's taken guys out like Brad Riddell. He's had some really solid victories within the UFC and had a showcase performance against Justin Gaethje where, yeah, he did not come out with the victory, but he still went out there and pushed Justin Gaethje to his limits as well. So I think one of those guys, Grant Dawson, Rafael Fiziev, would be a really good matchup for Dan Hooker moving forward. And for Jalin Turner, I think a Renato Moicano and also a Damir Ismagulov would be a really good matchup. I think Damir, yeah, he got absolutely dominated by Grant Dawson, but at the time he had been dealing with a lot of inconsistencies within his personal life, his health, considering retirement. So I think that if he decides to come back, I think a fight against Jalin Turner would be a really good matchup for him, or Renato Moicano, who is just an absolute dog in the lightweight division. You cannot count that guy out any day. Sometimes he doesn't show up and perform, and he doesn't look the best, but on other nights he looks like he's one of the best in the world. So I think a fight with Jalin Turner and Renato Moicano also would be a really good fight. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think is next for Dan the Hangman Hooker and what is next for Jalin the Tarantula Turner. Why did I just blank on that? Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think is next for those two lightweights. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.